Turtles all the way down. I'm Jake, sometimes Jenk. I gotta say, tonight I'm probably feeling a little bit more jank than usual. It's very late at night. Probably smoked a little too much weed, a little dehydrated. And I was just listening to this, well, let me just say, things have been going pretty well, maybe since last I've spoken with you. Things are going great, you know. The weather's changing. I've been, the last couple of days was very vigorous. I was biking and hiking through High Park and the Humber River trails, and there's salmon runs going on, and light is really that nice side glint fall lighting that gets all the photographers out, and there's been a lot of them on the trails as I've been riding around. It's been going so well that I've been kind of negligent in getting some of these episodes of Turtles out from the can into the world. We've had a few episodes that have been kind of waiting due to my negligence to get these out. So I made a pact with myself, or parts of myself made a pact with other parts of myself, that today, by the end of today, I'm going to get this episode done. And so here it is. And I, as is usual, I listened to the episode, before releasing it. And that was fun. That was a fun episode with Allan. And also, he brought out another guest came on, and that was Mullet. Both Allan and Mullet are, I guess, entities that reside in the system that is typically and maybe legally called Allan Turner. And it was kind of fun. We clowned around, as they say colloquially, but we got serious into talking about clowning, and that is Allan's. Allan is kind of a master at the technique, and he's an artist at heart. In the art of clowning, and it's always great to see and dig a little deeper inside the creative process and such a thing like that. So I had fun. I hope you will too. Enjoyed the conversation. Talk soon. Yep, that one's good. No, that's fine.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're good.
We'll acclimatize to the sound of
Yeah.
our own voice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might talk more than you were hoping, because I'll be, listen to this.
You're so
Welcome
mesmerized
back.
by your
Blah,
FM
blah, blah,
voice.
blah, blah, blah.
You do some voice acting too, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in Canada, in the entertainment business, you have to wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Any hat you can get your hands on, even if it's not a hat, you must put on your head and try and cobble together a living that way. Cobble is a weird verb to use because that's making shoes. But
Which is kind of what my grandfather used to do.
your grandfather made shoes.
Well, he dealt in the wholesale parts of shoemaking, and he would ship it between like Istanbul and Trabzon and what is now Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
In that area.
Wow.
But he kind of ended up in a concentration camp posted by Stalin at one point.
Did he
Made
come
it
out the other end? Okay.
Yeah. He actually escaped it on foot. He made it back to Turkey, and and then here we are.
Wow. There is a phenomenal story there that you
There
glossed
is.
over. But
I have, and it's
that's
the funny
okay.
thing. My family's glossed over it. It's like it's not even a story that I would have even heard until late in life. It's funny how people just don't think it's that happened.
I can't presume to know anything about what that experience would be, but I imagine, or no, I don't imagine, but I've heard from, you just hear that sometimes traumatic experiences on that scale don't get talked about.
That's very true. But they embed themselves, into you and into your family and into whoever you're coming into contact with. So especially within families, if the whole family is, has an elephant in the room, then it seems to impact the whole family regardless.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I like how you phrased it, that you have a cobbler grandfather who walked out on his own 2 feet.
That's right. And part of the reason he was able to essentially be allowed to escape was that he was making boots for all the officers in the
okay.
camp, and they liked him, and they let him go, essentially.
See, that's a movie right there. You could tell that story.
So
the cobbler who was able to escape because
he made great boots.
Made great boots. Jerry Lewis, who recently died, right? Has an infamous movie that has never been released. And there's
you've seen clips of that?
No, I've never seen clips. I've seen stills.
I saw a clip of it.
Really?
I'm just trying to remember where it was, but it was about a few years ago. There was, I think it was like a couple of minutes of it, an outtake.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, I don't know what to do with the tone. What is the tone of that movie?
I haven't seen anything of it. I feel unqualified to even talk about it, but at the same time, I'm curious to see it because it could be awful, as everyone says that it is. But at the same time, well, I suppose it is awful if everyone says it is.
Well, from what I've seen,
it's probably
awful.
Very misguided. But sometimes the way it's written is just the nature of, or just the topic makes it awful. Yeah. Which I don't buy into. I think there's all kinds of story that could happen there.
Well, I mean, La Vita Bella recently, Benigni.
Life is Beautiful.
Life is Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think he pulled it off.
Some people don't. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I saw it once. But I was thinking of that example too. So, and there's countless other stories or examples of stories being told in different genres. So just because he attempted that wasn't destined for failure. It just sounds like perhaps
more challenging.
I didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to say, but Jerry Lewis certainly knew what the hell he was doing.
Well, I don't know.
For most of his... What?
I don't. Did you hear, there was recently, he did an interview with Mark Maron. I don't know if you heard that as well.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And I guess he was replaying it after his death. But, it's funny because after he died, a friend and myself, it came up in conversation. And, like the first thing I did was like, hey, lady! Like it just kind of came out of me.
For sure.
I said, hey, well, there's like a cyclone of Jerry Lewis like running inside me. There's like a simulation that it just kind of took over my body, for a second at that moment. And that was Jerry Lewis's spirit, essentially, taking over my body.
So, okay, because I said, I think he knew what he was doing, and you're like, I'm not sure, and yet your example to back that up is that there's a Jerry Lewis inside your body, which says to me he's a cultural icon, or
definitely,
just like certain comedians, if might as well stay with comedians, will bring catchphrases, and like it's very popular Saturday Night Live now because they do it purposefully, but when something crosses over and it becomes, I don't know what the word is for that, but it just becomes a
viral thing. What?
I guess before there was it becomes a meme, or it just becomes part of culture. Like, excuse me,
That's right. Goes back to my early days of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
Steve Martin.
Well, that was before Saturday Night Live, but so Jerry Lewis. It's interesting because he has a bad reputation.
Especially on this side of the pond.
Yeah. Or with certain people, or the assumption. Actually, this is interesting because the assumption is he has a bad reputation, but the more people you talk to is he was brilliant. Yeah. And if you watch his work, there's a brilliance happening there.
Of course,
And to talk about the work, especially now, and this is shameful to admit, but I'm more familiar with his solo films after Martin and Lewis.
Me too, yeah.
But there he was working with, and I'm going to butcher the name, Pierre Etier. Etier? E-T-A-I-X? Anyway, French clown who himself followed in the tradition of, and was... worked with Jacques Tati, and you can follow that back to early film clown and comedians, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy. And Jerry Lewis was another continuation of that, doing masterful work.
Sure.
That has influenced lots of other people, so that when you mention his name, it's a, hey, lady!
Exactly. He's spinning around in there somewhere, waiting to take over.
Yeah.
As cultural products and creations do.
And his reputation for being acerbic well, more power to him. Why suffer fools just because you're a fool?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a soundbite. You can put that one in the commercial.
Yeah. No, and that kind of explains also why the French seem to have him in such high regard and esteem compared to Americans as well, because they appreciate that tradition of I don't know what you call it, clowning? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, and you have a background in that, and you have a
nice segue.
You have a friend who lives the life of such a being.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you? So you studied in the traditional schools of this? Is this like the French do?
Clowning, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, I've trained in clowning, but there's many different paths into it. There's many different styles of clowning happening currently on the planet now, but also going back through time. So really, maybe not innumerable, because that means uncountable. I assure you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's lots of paths into clown, and so I've done some training in clown, and I've been working and performing and being, I guess, a clown for close to 20 years now.
Right. Mullet. Now,
Yes.
would he have come into being had you not studied the art of clowning?
No.
Okay.
Next.
So the origin story for Mullet kind of intrigues me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, where do you first see him or hear him? Or where does he first come out to play?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you can edit these out in posts.
We don't edit.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then
Go for it.
Let's let your listeners imagine what's happening in these long, pregnant pauses.
Yeah, that's all good.
I go across the room and
Cartwheel.
I do a cartwheel.
Cool. You have very good control of your body.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah.
It was a flawless cartwheel.
9.8.
I know. And the most amazing thing about my cartwheel, which is patent pending, is I cartwheel away from the microphone.
Yeah.
But I boomerang right back here.
I don't know how you did
don't
that.
even hear it.
That's amazing.
But it gives me time to
Nadia
think.
Comaneci.
It's a clown trick. What was the question?
I don't even remember.
Oh, good. This is going well. My plan is working.
Well, the origins of Mullet, like where he first became noticed somehow. Or you
Sure.
noticed
So
it.
So I was going to answer very quickly and intelligently, but then I got distracted by the thought. Hi, you were listening to this, and do you even know what Jake's talking about? What mullet is? Are you putting some of that in the introduction? Or people are just like,
I'll allow that meta thought.
okay. Hey there. I'm not trying to get you confused about what's going on right now, but I'm just wondering if you know who Mullet is.
It should be known that Allan is in charge of this other creature called Mullet,
or vice versa,
or vice versa, who comes out every now and then in performance.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I perform as a clown named Mullet, or Jean Paul Mullet. Right. Is his full name. Mm-hmm. Mullet's cool. So where does Mullet come from? I can tell you how it happened as I experienced it, or at least as I remember experiencing it, but certainly looking back on it now, I can see that origin goes back much further. I can see, the seeds were being sown in childhood. Yeah. So, of course, it led to what came out.
Yeah.
But the idea was, yes, let's go back before clown training even. I was studying improv at Second City Training Center. This would have been in the early mid 90s. 1990s, because this podcast will be listened to forever.
Could be. Especially if we live forever, or the super intelligent artificial intelligence is going to live forever. It's going to continue to listen to us.
No.
Over and over again. Here we go. We got
I
off
can
track
only
again.
stick around because of the promise of an exit.
Oh no! But see, you'll be in charge. You can choose when to exit. I feel like if we develop this immortal way of being, or the possibility of immortality, then it will be up to you to decide when it's over. So everyone will have assisted suicide, essentially, at some point.
Wow, this is a really dark interview. we began talking
Can be.
about...
Sorry, we got off track here.
No, I think this is right on track. We're talking about your grandfather walking out of a camp, and then the day the clown cried.
Yeah.
And now assisted suicide.
You know, it's all connected.
Comedy.
That's the connecting tissue.
I'm okay with that. I'm being glib, but it's actually... I will get to your question eventually of the origins of Mullet. That's how we'll finish.
Yeah.
This will be all one long sidetrack until
tangents.
the finale, which will be anticlimactic. But
As life is.
so I teach clown as well, and last night's class, a level 1 introduction class, last night was focusing on vulnerability and just because you're learning clown, which will lead to performance that typically I don't believe has to be, but certainly will have laughs in it. There's an honesty in dealing with your shit or getting into the shit and not trying to hide that. I think that's one of the differences between being a comedian versus being a clown. That's a longer discussion too. Maybe we can get into, but one sidetrack at a time. Is just bringing your own vulnerability, bringing your flaws, and sharing them openly, even in a flop. That becomes the show.
And that also becomes the therapy, and that becomes because I took an improv class, and I think I noticed that some of the people in there at least were what you would call normals, like who lived in the real world, had corporate jobs. And to them, it was a way to bring about certain aspects of themselves so that they can perform better in everyday life. So it one way or another, it changes you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Improv is an amazing life skill that I think they should be teaching in high school mandatorily. I think it is offered, or it wasn't one on anyway. It's a great life skill that doesn't have to lead to performance of any kind, but just makes you an open-minded, flexible thinker, which is good for teamwork, and companies are now starting to embrace that, and there's a lot of business books out there, and it's probably going to go too far, but
likely.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was training in improv, and I was performing in improv. I was going to school during the day, studying writing, in theory at least. I was putting in the time, and creating outside of university my own sort of second major in performance or comedy. And so I was training in Second City, and I was performing, I was watching shows, and I was out all the time, and this was my social life as well.
Yeah.
So lots and lots and lots of improv. And I don't remember. No, I do. I was going to say I don't remember which came first, but it wouldn't make sense for it to be the other way around. So what happened is within something like 3 weeks of each other, I just recently found the ticket stubs, which I had kept. Or have kept, and it was really close together. I saw 2 clown shows. Slava Snow Show, which is a hugely successful and popular clown show from Russia, and it was a big deal, playing at the Princess of Wales Theatre, and I went and saw that 2 or 3 times. And the other show I saw, maybe first, was Mump and Smoot. Performing. They were doing a workshop of one of their shows at Harbourfront, and they're at the time hugely successful Canadian clown duo who remain to this day top.
They're crossovers. People have heard of them.
Oh yeah, they're the pinnacle of theatrical clowning. So when I say they were successful at that time, it's not to say they're not successful now, but they don't perform as much now. Although they are still creating new shows, they just don't come to Toronto.
No kidding. Where are they most revered? It's I could guess it's not Toronto.
John Turner lives on Manitoulin Island, where he runs the Manitoulin Conservatory for Creation and Performance, a.k.a. the Clown Farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he trains hundreds.
So he's generating new clowns.
He is.
Amazing.
I'll be going up there in 2 weeks to do some more training. And Mike Kennard lives in Edmonton, where he teaches in university. John also teaches at Laurentian. So they're teaching, they're bringing up next generation clowns. They're still getting together every summer. They're creating new material, but the performance Sudbury and out west. Mm-hmm. They are masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From what little I've seen, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is little to see if you're trying to track it down online. There's YouTube clips, which are great, but don't really capture the experience of being there live, which is no fault of the clips or them. It's just any live performance doesn't play as magically.
So do you find that that's the case in almost every performance art?
They have to be there live?
Yeah.
Well, movies don't work so well live.
Well, that's not really a performance art, though. Like, what I mean by that is, like, if you're doing something, I don't know, like singing or playing music, or is it better when you're there? Or are there some art forms? Because it seems to be, in most cases, better when you're there.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know if I would contest it or if I just don't know the answer to that. Right. Certainly with theatrical performances that have been created with the intent of being performed live, watching a video that's just set up on a tripod, watching them later, I don't think that captures the magic as much. Mm-hmm. But something that's created a performance art that's then translated to becoming a short film could be very powerful or successful. Live music, I can't talk to that. I have no music training. I'm a fan, but I don't really like my live music.
I just remembered, I don't know if you've...
No, in person.
I don't know if you still go to movies. I don't know if anybody does. But
what are you talking about? Who doesn't go to movies?
Actual movie theaters where you buy tickets and go in. But
Lots
if you
of
do,
people go there. They're all the ones that talk.
Yeah, I guess so.
And watch their phones. They have to go to the movie theater because that's the only place you can look on your phone.
Probably the reason I'm not going is for that experience. But you'll notice that they actually have these live events where they have live from the Met, like opera. And a lot of people, I haven't seen it, but a lot of people said that it's actually a pretty good facsimile because the screen is so large and the sound is so loud that it's very close to being there, as opposed to... Yeah.
The other thing, too, is they'll cut to close-ups. Right. So it's live, but they're using multi-cameras. So you're seeing things you would never see if you were there live, even in the front row.
So that's a different experience, maybe a more...
I went to...
richer.
I went to Monty Python's final performance, which they advertised as live, but I think it was live to tape, and there was a delay. But...
where was that?
That was pretty phenomenal. It was the same thing, same kind of thing they do in a movie theater. They were performing in London.
I see.
But it was shown on a movie theater, so you're sitting in the... so it really did feel like being part of the experience.
Yeah. So screen size. And I'm wondering then if once we get virtual reality technology figured out to such an extent that you're going to feel like you're kind of 3D immersed into something, it's going to get a little step closer. But there's always going to be something missing. Like when we're in a room together, there's something about being in the same proximity. There's even smells and like air pressure movements.
There's no smells right now because remember, these microphones are sucking up all the coffee. So
the coffee breath is
just getting sweet, sweet sound across
doesn't propagate
this table.
Over there.
Yeah, by the time your voice gets to my ears, it's scent free.
But yeah, and maybe this is the only way that artists are going to survive is to sell tickets for live performances because it's, as we know, everything is reproducible otherwise. So you got to differentiate.
And again, in class last night, even talking a lot about performing in clown on stage. So what does that even mean? Performing in clown? It's
in clown. That's the proper term.
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
Proper's tricky because that's a proper, I don't know if I'd say proper, but that's terminology I can use here. Okay. It might be totally different terminology overseas.
I see.
You want to talk about a clown duo. The shorthand here is Joey and a goose. Overseas, it's the white face and a goose. So, but anyway, yes, it's proper. Very proper. And so if you're performing in clown on stage, it's no fourth wall theater. So what I was going to say is, how do you define a clown performance? And some people get very precious about what is and is not clown.
I'm happy to learn this. Yeah. Go.
Well, I try not to enter into that discussion too much. I have a pretty broad feeling about what is and is not clown for my own self. And certainly I will have my own opinions watching something, but I try not to enter into that debate. But one of the pretty indisputable rules, guidelines, qualities of a clown performance is the no fourth wall theater. So you can't do a play where I'm doing a play right now and you're the audience and we've agreed to believe that you're not there and I know you're not there and you know that you're not there as well and you're watching it. Like you'd be watching TV, that's fourth wall theater, right? Traditional theater. But clowns will know the audience is there and acknowledge that with eye contact.
So there is no fourth wall. It's not that there's no breaking of the fourth wall. There just isn't a fourth wall.
Right. Now that doesn't mean that you just come out and, hey, audience, and the whole show is right into their eyeballs, which can happen a lot. I call it podium clown. That's not a proper term. That's just something I
like it.
Yeah, well, it's proper now then. Thank you for that seal of approval.
Coined.
Yeah, but no, you don't get royalties. That's all mine. All mine. You just got a seal of approval.
The word coin is kind of misleading then. There's no coin involved.
This was my test group, so I will pay you for being a test. So the coin goes to you.
Some capitalist exchange somewhere, right? Yeah.
So the clown just because there's no fourth wall doesn't mean that they come out and the whole thing is straight in. It doesn't have to be a conversation right from the beginning. They can still do world building, which, to go back to Mump and Smoot, certainly do, and many other clowns do as well. So you're still watching personas exist inside an imaginary world which they are believing in. The difference is you can clock to the audience or just face the audience. You can make connection, make contact with the audience. And I hesitate to say you wink to the audience because that's kind of annoying. It's
also stepping out of character in a way. Like even when there's no fourth wall, you're not stepping out of character.
No. So the distinction is you're performing. So let's make up something right now. So name a location.
Winnipeg.
Okay, Winnipeg, famous for winter, Portage and Maine, right?
Right.
So we'll do a winter show. So there's a clown in a winter. Now it's a snow show we're describing, but whatever, that's fine. It's a winter show, clown waiting for the bus in a wintry setting, whatever. Yeah. So that's you could do that on a zero budget. You just need a bus sign, or some facsimile,
some pole,
something, right? You could do it without a bus sign. You could just
cardboard.
That's still a sign. You think I'm going to read it a real bus sign? No. Here's your big brain idea. Is that we can't do a big bus sign. That's expensive. Let's do a cardboard bus sign.
No. Even less. You should get one of those "Hello, my name is" bus sign. Just stick that on the wall.
Now there's a real person there. Oh, you're just putting it on the wall. Okay, whatever.
It's the bus stop. Okay, well, we got that technical problem out of the way. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you got this world, wintry, and the clown will be existing waiting for the bus. So the clown believes that they're in Winnipeg at Portage and Maine waiting for the bus, but they can still acknowledge that the audience is there and they're in a theater. And that's not breaking character. That's just the clown going, I'm in this world and I'm valuing your money and time as valuable and putting on a show for you, but I also know it's a show. I'm in the world and I'm out of the world at the same time. Breaking character would be going out of nose. So we talked about being in nose. Breaking character would be dropping the nose.
The nose. Cool.
And then that's more a wink at the audience, I think. And that's annoying. Well, it's not more than annoying. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be... I'm not really a silly clown. Super cool. Find me after at the bar. Hey, you don't want to see that ever.
No.
But so the clown can break the world.
Yeah.
But they won't break the illusion of their own persona.
They're still going to claim primacy for their reality. It just so happens that he can also see your reality and you can see theirs. It's just like there's a window between two realities.
Yeah.
He's not saying, hey, my reality is any less than yours. This is my reality.
Yeah.
And I can see yours over there sitting while I'm at the bus stop.
Or even further, might acknowledge the less of that clown's their reality. Because
oh really?
Yeah. Winter.
Right.
It's not really winter. It's actually, I'm under really hot lights right now. So that'd be a gag,
Right.
maybe,
Right.
because you got the sound effects going and the crunch of snow. And, if we had production value, we could even have a real bus sign.
We can dream.
Yeah. But, could mug to the audience just how hot it is. It's really hot in here. These stage lights are, and you do it all without words, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Without words. Wow.
But
That's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. There's a lot of clown performances done without words or in gibberish, but there's a long tradition of speaking clowns too.
Oh yeah? Okay. So it's not a hard and fast rule.
Grok. Just name dropped. Name dropped a famous clown there.
Famous clowns.
Yeah.
So Mullet.
Oh yeah, so the origin of Mullet.
Does Mullet know about your reality?
Yes.
Okay. And you clearly know about his. And
Yes.
we see it, in some recordings of your performances or Mullet, where Mullet comes out to play. So how aware is he of your reality?
How do you mean? Is he aware of my reality, including that I am Mullet?
Oh, that's kind of a meta loop back on just outside of that for the moment. What does he know about you outside of
That I'm
interaction with him?
Mullet and I don't get along super well.
Does he have access to all of your memories and all of your information?
No.
Okay.
No. Mullet, I am a character in Mullet's world.
Right.
Allan Turner, Mullet's writer, director, and one-time roommate, though currently I kicked him out.
Did you? Yeah. Being an asshole? Or?
I was. But you try living with him.
I could imagine.
Because one of the great things about Mullet is it's very freeing to give your alter ego qualities that you don't possess yourself. So I will admit that I am, and friends will certainly know that I am quite particular about things. I live well alone. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I wanted to admit that. Oh, well, no editing, right?
No. I live well alone also.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yes, you do. This is a beautiful space.
Oh, yeah. Well, that helps. Yeah. But, yeah.
Anyway, Mullet, the point being, so something I can give to Mullet is he's very messy and
How convenient.
not careful with his things
Yeah.
and doesn't need, this Criterion edition is in perfect shape and looks like it's
Right.
never been touched by human hands and whoa, beautiful. And first edition, this signed by Bruce Timm.
Less careful.
Whatever. Yeah, Mullet
Takes life by the horns a little bit more.
Mullet's not
Yeah.
a things guy. But that makes him difficult to live with as a roommate.
Sure.
So I booted him.
For how long did it?
But that's within the story. Outside of the story is in front of an audience talking about Mullet having an apartment that he was able to crash in rent-free isn't great conflict or not. It's just, Mullet was getting a little too comfortable. So it added a little more stakes to a story, even in the context of a variety comedy show, but I get repeat audiences that are following Mullet's adventures. So I felt that he was just getting a little too comfortable, and where's the fun in that? I wanted him to struggle more.
So when you're just alone at home, does he come out and just embody?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
When you're just alone?
Sure.
Okay. And at that point, does he just take over and just be, or is he in a kind of engaged dialogue with you at the time?
I have done both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does feel like an other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When you're speaking
I can will
yeah.
it to happen. Usually it's not a dialogue. Usually it's
maybe interjections.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever done I can't say never, but it's usually, bring Mullet out, and certainly not when you say just to be, or I'll take Mullet out on walks and just, I don't necessarily have to be going to a show to put Mullet on and have an experience, because that's good practice, that's good exercise, and some of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever had in clown have not been on stage, but rather just interacting with real people out in the real world.
Sure. But so does he have to be wearing certain clothes to be Mullet? Because when you're alone, he could just come out. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Or do you go to the closet and put it on?
No.
Okay.
part of me regrets creating the costume that I did create for Mullet because it's such a bloody pain in the ass to put on, and it's frankly it's a roadblock to performing more because the makeup takes an hour. I can do it in less. I can do it in 35 maybe, but that's stressful. So I like to allot an hour to do the makeup.
Yeah.
There's a hair.
Yeah.
Where's this hair? Your microphones are shedding?
No extra charge.
Okay. So the whole process to get into Mullet is 2 hours. Half an hour for a shower and a shave.
Wow.
And then put on
the
the
beard
base
has
costume.
to go each time. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a full beard now. For your listeners, I've tucked it into my belt.
What a hipster.
Oh, no, I don't want to. It's a nice shortly. I just had new headshots taken yesterday
with the beard.
With the beard look in time for me shaving it off in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So that's I can
Seems
grow
like
a beard in the summertime because I don't mullet in the summertime anymore.
Oh.
Because I'm too old, and that's my prerogative now. Is it's too hot to put on all that.
Yeah, I guess so. Right.
A lot of layers, a lot of wool.
Clothes. Yeah.
Wig and all that. So shower and a shave, and then put on the base costume, then an hour for the makeup, then put on the rest of the costume, and then I'm ready to go. Like I said, I can do it faster. I can do it pretty fast, but it's nice to be able to have 2 hours to do it. So if I'm performing a 15-minute or a 5-minute bit in a variety show, I got to tack on 3 hours on 2 hours before and an hour after to make up and de-makeup. So
maybe you can think of a way to downscale the...
Yeah, radio.
That's true. That'll do it. So tell me about Mullet then. So is he?
Let's go back to that first question then.
Yeah.
Where did he come from?
Where's he first?
See,
make an appearance.
I think that was a pretty pro trip I played there because you asked a question and I was like, after this, come back. The origins of Mullet, but first, let's talk more about Grandpa leaving camp. That's terrible.
It's all good.
So Second City classes, and then saw those 2 shows, and that was the lightning crack moment of kapow. This really speaks to me. This is what it without hopefully sounding pretentious. It felt more than this is what I want to do, but it felt like I've just had reflected back to me what I already am and didn't know.
Yeah, I get that.
And then this is where it gets a little fuzzy, but shortly thereafter, there was just a posting. I think it was at Second City. I don't know, but I saw a posting for a clown class offered by Sue Morrison. And I went and did that. It was a weekend intensive, and then shortly thereafter, I took my first Pachinko baby clown course, which is an intensive immersive course. Mullet did not get created in that, but I would not have been able to create Mullet had I not gone through that experience.
Right.
Part of that experience is that training was life-changing, profound. But by the time it was over, I needed to step away from it a bit and go back to more punchline-oriented performance. So I don't mean to take away from the experience of Baby Clown Pachinko, which I know I'm dropping all this jargon, and maybe we can get into that, but I don't want to get onto sidetrack number 21. Coming out of that experience with all this being in the moment and all this stuff that had been brought up, I wanted to. Well, I'm just repeating myself now. I think I can't explain it any better than I wanted punchlines at the end again. So I looked back to vaudeville and Marx Brothers and stuff like that, and teamed up with a writing partner who I'd met in that clown class, and we were creating our clown personas individually, and then had the idea to pair them as a duo. That's the. I told you it'd be anticlimactic.
Yeah.
That's the anticlimactic answer to the origins of Mullet in the very beginning.
I want to talk more about Mullet, but you just reminded me. I was listening to Alice Cooper, who in a way has
music or just talking.
He was talking on a podcast.
Mark Maron's.
With Mark Maron's, yeah, exactly. And did you hear it? Yeah.
No, but I saw it.
Yeah, it just came up today. Yeah.
I was listening to yours today.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. But it just connects with what you're doing, because he essentially created this character that, but in his case, the way he was talking about it, it seemed like he confused the borders between the two, between what was his other self, his more commonly seen self, and the character that slowly essentially took over. And he was able to wrest essentially control back in a way. So I'm wondering if this happens with people in your art, where the character that comes out to play then eventually starts to take on more prominence and becomes an issue for some people. Because I also think of some of those movies we used to see in the 70s where the ventriloquist has his ventriloquist character kind of starts to take over.
Sure, there's a great Batman villain.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Scarface, which is a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. So there's kind of a tradition of this where alter egos, whatever you want to call it,
take over. Well, for sure.
Yeah.
Batman's another great example, right? Who's the alter ego, Bruce Wayne or Batman? I can't speak for anybody else about what their experience has been, but I've certainly experienced that with Mullet. I will tell you something that I've told others, but I don't. So now it's just going to be told to everybody. Here we go. So here's an expose. Coming up next after more stories about Grandpa.
And entertainment tonight. What did Allan say?
So, so I told you before that it's a great freeing relief to be able to give Mullet qualities that I have because they came out of me to give to him, but that I don't get to enjoy as frequently. So things like not being so particular with physical things. At the same time, I can... Now, where am I going with this?
So
I can give... What?
Is that because there's some kind of like an OCD type thing in you that you wish you didn't have?
I'm not diagnosed as OCD, but I certainly have OCD tendencies just when it comes to
Right. Whereas Mullet can override
man.
that. No, we all have these things, right? So it's like Mullet kind of overrides that. And,
sure.
Yeah,
in a big way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Shuts out all the counting. But
how restful, right?
So that feels like something I can give to Mullet, or that Mullet. Let's go. Oh, no. I'm shorter. You have to make that shorter.
Get it to where you like it.
Yeah. I'm 7 feet tall, so the microphone was 8 feet, and
which is especially surprising. How you can do those cartwheels. Yeah.
Well, you have very high ceilings in here.
That's true. Yeah, 78 feet. Yeah.
Didn't you mention? No, it was before we were on mic. Sorry to spoil. We talked
wall.
for a
we got
couple.
Another wall here.
Well, you mentioned something about the elephant in the room. I was going to make a joke about there being an elephant in the room.
Well, that's not nice to say about Claire, but she's just left. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't mine.
That wasn't nice.
Mine.
No.
That wasn't. Well, no editing. It's out there now.
True. I can't believe you said that. No, I just.
I didn't. I didn't.
No. Yeah. It's.
What were we talking about?
I don't know.
No. The other thing I don't quite. So how do I explain this? So, with Mullet embodying certain aspects of my personality, that frees me up to also not have to encapsulate those outside of Mullet. So. Some stuff got delineated. So Mullet is born from a place of love and joy. And so I don't have to be anymore. So fuck everything.
So removes the responsibility of being that, maybe. Is that?
It's more that if Mullet is happy, not that he's happy all the time, because it's wrong to create a character based on an emotion, because emotions are fluid, and if you come out on stage playing an angry character and then something happens to make you not angry, what are you playing, right?
Yeah, then you're just a crazy person.
You're not even that. You're nothing. You're left with, you're just
one note.
Yeah. So Mullet can experience the full gamut of emotions that I'm able. Your clown's only limited by your own limitations. But if Mullet is more exuberant, that's a better way to put it, then I can relax and not have to be as exuberant, and I can get more serious-minded and more bookish and more introverted because I have my extroverted channels through that nose.
Yeah.
Which happened. I don't know if that was conscious choice, but on reflection, looking back, that certainly has happened. And that, didn't we talk about that a little while ago too? You were talking about, maybe that was off mic too.
What's that?
Sorry, everyone. We had a short conversation before this began, which is not available because it was not recorded.
That's the limited edition.
So it's very limited. You had to be here.
You had to be here, yeah.
But just the idea of comedians being extroverted or performers being extroverted or introverted.
Or shy, yeah.
You know, there's lots of examples of,
yeah.
you know, famous examples, Robin Williams, Steve Martin, of being extremely introverted and then on stage. But so I'm probably in that camp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But another thing that happened too, and this is what the thing that I don't often cop to, is, and this I did do consciously, is I, as Allan, will play more cantankerous or a little more dour as kind of a long con in this online personality, how I present myself in social media or whatever. But even in person at shows with friends, as a way of distancing myself. So not only is Mullet distanced from me, but I've also distanced myself from Mullet by amplifying certain aspects of my own personality, so that it's all the more surprising that Mullet and me are the same person. Because I'll get that. I didn't know that was you. People.
Really?
A lot of people know now, but there was a period there where no one had any clue that we were one and the same person for years.
Like a superhero.
Yes. Literally years.
That's pretty cool.
And there was a pretty fun few months there where it started to leak out, and it was what? That was a great thrill for me. It's very flattering. But it's funny. But part of that is me distancing myself from Mullet just as much as Mullet's distance from me, which I've been told by some people is crazy.
Nah, what's crazy? If it's not harming you or anyone, it's not crazy.
No.
But what you described sounds very much like a friendship tends to function as well. Like it reminded me of a friendship I have with one of my best friends who tends to be somewhat pessimistic, for example. And then as a result, when I'm talking to him, I tend to be more optimistic than I normally am, because I'm kind of trying to, kind of adjust for.
Sure.
And so if Mullet is off doing something in such a way, then Allan is going to be more naturally kind of counteracting or counterweighting it.
So I mentioned the jargon before of the Joey and a Goose clown duo pairing. I am my own Joey and a Goose pairing, and you and your friend are doing the same thing. But I think any combination of two human beings are falling into some kind of Joey and a Goose pairing. It doesn't even have to be clown, right? And I would hesitate to use the old labels of straight men, funny men, because that's dangerous to think of one of those people as not funny, because they're working together. And you can't have a laugh after a punchline without a setup. That's right. It's all one thing. So any combination of two people fall into a status relationship. Actually, I was reading probably some bullshit article, but one of those clickbait
That's where I get
things.
most of my news. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bullshit article, the latest edition.
I think it was clickbait, but they were talking about something. Are you an order or chaos muppet? Right. Which is an interesting, because reading that, that speaks a lot to the Joey and Auguste relationship of whether you're the Bert or whether you're the Ernie. So you've become an Ernie to your friend's
Felix,
Bert. Oscar and Felix, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy.
Amazing. So was Martin and Lewis like that too?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Long tradition.
George Burns, Gracie Allen.
And his wife,
And then you can expand that out. It doesn't always need to be duos. So in clown lingo again, to be proper, you'd have the Joey, the Auguste, and either the grotesque Auguste, or you could go the other way and have the Joey and the Auguste and the ringmaster. So it's whether you're adding a lower status beneath the Auguste or adding a higher status above the Joey.
What sort of clown is Donald Trump?
Not one.
Not one. Okay. So what's a buffoon? Because I've heard like even the Italian Berlusconi was often described as a buffoon, and coming out of Italy, I thought maybe they were using the word correctly. I mean, I don't know. Is that related to that realm of?
Well, like sure.
To look it up,
if you say a buffoon,
yeah,
that says to me just someone. I'd have to look it up.
Well,
but
I thought it had
someone
something to do with
foolish
clouding,
or an idiot,
not.
right?
Yeah,
An idiot. But to talk about a buffon.
Buffon, yeah. I'm sorry. That's where the etymology of it comes from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So buffon is used as a label. Label is a terrible thing to say. So a label for style of theatrical clowning, which or depending on who you talk to, it's not clowning, but like a cousin of clowning.
Yeah.
And buffon, whereas clowns are children of God, is one way to put it. This is just folklore. Buffons are children of the devil, whereas clowns love you and need the love from you. Buffons, the mouth says "I love you," but the eyes say "fuck you."
So it's kind of like the shadow self or something like that. It's a darker side in a way.
Yeah, the story behind the buffon is all the ugly people, and this is the people that don't conform to societal norms regarding gender or what bodies should look like or intelligence. So the crippled and the challenged,
the outsiders, and
the outsiders,
anyways,
the ugly people are rejected from the walled city to go live in the swamps. But once a year, they're allowed to come back in and perform for the beautiful people. And so they put on a show that is a satire of all the beautiful people in the audience. So if the queen's having an affair and the king is impotent, they'll do a show about a queen having an affair or the king being impotent. But you have to be very careful, because if your audience clues in, they'll kill you.
So you don't walk that fine line.
You don't want to, you walk the razor's edge. Right. But the dream of the buffon is that the audience will laugh and laugh and laugh at how terrible these people are, and they'll go home and they'll have the realization that what they were laughing at was themselves, and the shock of that realization will kill them.
Will literally kill them?
Yeah.
That's their goal.
So that's a bit different than,
Wow.
very different from the dream of the clown. But it's an amazing performance style that is still active today. The Edinburgh Fringe Festival is going on right now, and Eric Davis is over there with his Red Bastard show. He's got a new one, which I haven't seen, but I've seen him perform before, and he's phenomenal. Yeah. A Canadian, Bruce Horak, performs as Cancer.
Cancer. That's interesting. I thought of Cancer as a comic book hero once.
Oh, yeah?
How does he do?
That's probably a villain, isn't it?
Well, in a way, but he's immortal. See, he's made out of cancer, so you can't kill him.
Or
so
he dies within 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, he just maintains it.
Okay.
Anyway, getting off
so
track.
but there's there's a tradition of buffon that exists now, and it doesn't have to be grotesque and lumpy if you're looking up those couple of names, but there's also can be Stephen Colbert. In his persona when he was hosting his show versus Stephen Colbert now. Yeah, I know it's confusing because it's the same name, but at one point he's playing a character, and now he's seemingly dropped it. But that character of Stephen Colbert was certainly buffon.
Okay. Yeah. What was I going to say? I forgot totally what I was going to say.
I have that effect.
But all of a sudden there's an echo again. So, I've heard Berlusconi and Trump described as buffon or buffoon kind of a thing, but it's interesting to hear that
there's
clown
associated.
Clown, I mean, obviously there's colloquial ways to use it, which we use to denigrate sometimes even. And there's also this long tradition of even American comedy of like shitting on mimes all the time. And it's like it keeps coming up. And
well, that's justified though.
I can't help but laugh
mimes.
because it's...
Who likes mimes? There's a great movie. There's a movie that I like a lot called Shakes the Clown. It's a Bobcat Goldthwait film that he wrote and directed. It's one of his. It's getting reissued. Oh, cool. For anyone who doesn't pirate anything. So I forget who's reissuing it, but it's going to be available again within the next couple weeks, which is great because it's been out of print for a long time. Anyway, it's called Shakes the Clown.
Shakes
and
Clown,
the premise of this movie is clowns exist in the real world, but amongst real, or not real, but non-clown people.
Yeah.
And there's birthday clowns, rodeo clowns, all kinds of different circus clowns, of course. But on the other side of the tracks, there's mimes. And so all the clowns will get into the car and they'll go to the other side of the tracks and beat the shit out of the mimes.
That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, the movie opens with Shakes the Clown waking up from being passed out drunk on the bathroom floor with a kid pissing on his face.
Oh, that kind of show.
Yeah.
Back to Mullet for a second.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to ask. Is he smarter than you in some ways? Because he doesn't seem to be smarter than you in a lot of ways. But is he smarter than you in some ways?
I'm open to the idea that maybe he is. He's not dumb.
All right.
I originally conceived of him as being dumb. It was it was an experiment to create the dumbest character, which is why he's a zombie.
Right.
Because there's a few reasons why he's a zombie, but like I said, you can trace these back to childhood. I was terrified of zombies as a kid. That was the monster. Wasn't into it. So like Batman, afraid of bats becoming Batman, I too became what I feared most.
Wow.
I know.
So
I'm pretty much Batman.
So what zombie movies or what would you have seen and that would have triggered those?
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, yeah.
The original, which is a great movie. I've since watched it many times.
Of creepiness.
But I have my brother to thank for that. I have a brother who's 9 years older than me who continue to be best friends with, and as a kid I certainly idolized him, but he would also lock me in the basement and play creep show music at full volume and show me horrible things like Dawn of the Dead.
Nice.
But hey, now there's Mullet.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Can't hold a grudge. But
because I mean, it seems like Mullet is
the smarter thing
is occupying some part of you. This is how I've been thinking of the conceptions of the self: is that there are different parts of us swimming around inside of us, and some of them are very, maybe enjoy a very small prominence within your ecosystem. Some enjoy a larger prominence in your ecosystem. Some of them actually take over once in a while and retreat back, and they're often trying to work together at odds with each other. And some people like yourself who have essentially honed one of these characters that might have started off as like a small cycle, that by just bringing him out more and more, that his cycles became more pronounced and more. It's like, you're going with a Crayola. You go over it enough times, a circle over and over again, it starts to take on a thickness, and, like a being into itself. So it's like, imagine Mullet coming into being via iteration, like over and over again. It became more entrenched.
Sure.
So that when it used to be maybe a small part of your ecosystem of selves, it became a larger part, such a larger part that it now has its own webpage and has fans and has people that it knows and talks to.
Yeah, some of whom I don't know.
Some of whom you don't know because because on stage you was talking to them. Is that what you mean?
Or people have found me online.
Right. Yeah. So you respond back as Mullet.
Yes.
Fascinating. Yeah.
I don't disagree with any of what you just said, for sure. And thinking about, is Mullet smarter? I think maybe Mullet is more emotionally intelligent than I am. And this made me think of when we were talking about improvising and learning improv as a great skill to learn people skills. I was extremely socially awkward, and improv helped me get over that, or or work through that. Sorry, I'm slouching, so I'm too far away.
Take the mic with you.
Take them. Oh, can I do that? Let's take it out here.
Walk around. Yeah, if you like. That's an interesting idea, actually. Because I sometimes feel, when I do the monologues before each episode, I actually stand up.
Okay.
And I'm kind of walking around with the mic in my hand, more like a stand-up thing, where I'm just kind of flailing my arms around.
Well, it's a pretty short cord on this, so I'm not sure how far I can go, which is good, because otherwise I'd be on that instrument.
Playing the drums.
All right. Let me sit back down like a behaved person.
How are you? Do you need a break or anything? Or are we?
Oh, we get breaks in the middle? Commercial break?
If you need it. It's
Is
about an
Mullet
hour.
smarter than Allan? More after this. Yeah, a quick break would be good.
Yeah, we're at the hour point, so let's take a break.
All right.
Yeah. Cool.
I can go to the washroom if you stop recording. But I will answer. I was right about to answer something. Is this going okay? I'm in the
Oh, great.
place.
Thank you.
But it's fun.
I'm loving it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, right up.
Well, how many floors do you have here?
I'll show you around after. There's just that mezzanine level, which used to be Mr. Loblaw's office. This was a Loblaw store. This was one of the first Loblaw stores.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then there's stairs that go up beyond that.
Yeah, and that used to be the elevator shaft.
Oh, cool.
And I turned that into the staircase. And upstairs, the mechanical room became the sunroom.
Yeah.
And above here is a green roof. So the entire...
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The whole area has really changed since I was last here.
Well, I've been here 13 years, which is, I think I was telling you earlier, it's the longest I've ever lived in one place in my life. And I love it here. So
Yeah, why
it's a
would you
very
leave?
Cool neighborhood.
Nice setup.
Cool building. I do feel guilty sometimes having all the space to myself, so that's why I'm always having music events and dance parties, and we're going to have stand-up comedy soon. That's
Cool.
what we're thinking, yeah. And I don't know, maybe even have like a 3-camera setup and like record them as maybe, I don't know, TV type things.
Neat.
And everyone can have their own little showcase.
Yeah.
Might be a way to do it, right?
Cool.
And then maybe even sell it to somebody to distribute it, so others can actually see it.
Wow. Sell something in this country?
Yeah, I don't know. Or
Okay.
worldwide.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
comedy, yeah, it might work. Well, I mean, I've produced a few films, and no one's really making the films in the range that we were doing it in. As you probably are aware, there's all these giant superhero movies of like 100 million plus, and then you've got these, under $100,000 type passion projects. So the movies we were doing, which is like between 2 and 10 million, you can't possibly make any money on it, first of all. And how would you even get distribution or noticed or anything else? It's just, it's not happening. But TV, or what we call TV now, Netflix and online, I don't know, Hulu, all these other, Amazon is paying for stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity, especially for comics, comedians. What do you call, what do you, the comic and comedian?
Interchangeable.
Interchangeable for you?
Yeah.
Someone was telling me that, and I can never remember which one, but one of them is more like, they gave the impression of being like a joke teller type, and the other one being more like a storyteller type. I don't know if that's true, or that was that one person's opinion, but every time I say it, I think, oh, am I saying the right thing? But they're pretty much interchangeable, it seems.
Comic is a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
That's a shorthand
So
for stand-up
both.
comic.
Yeah.
Maybe comedian encompasses more.
More like the comedian, tragedian.
Yeah, but that's the wrong
That's
flips.
different. Yeah, it's the wrong flip. Mm-hmm.
So we're back.
Yeah. So, Mullet.
Last time on the Jake and Allan. That's the wrong voice. We should do last time on the show with Jake and Allan.
Jake asks.
Jake had Allan over the coals. Who is smarter, you or Mullet? How will Allan's intellect survive unscathed? More after this, and we're back.
We're back. So, Allan, how is Mullet smarter than you?
So I was saying that learning improv not only makes you helps make you a flexible thinker, but helped me personally get over certain social awkwardness, because for a long time it was faking it. And you could put on this mask of, oh, I'm just schmoozing. It's the after party, schmooze, and do that enough times over a few years. And I guess I'm not wearing a mask. I guess this is part of who I am now. Learning clown was able to, open me up emotionally. In a way that so that first course was very difficult, and a big part of that was because of all the resistance that I had, not just to the work, but to what the work was bringing out of me, was just this emotional vulnerability and openness, which is key to clowning, and just being present and available for loved ones, and to exist in this world in relationship with any capacity. So learning clowning began that for me, and the more I've stuck with it, the more it has continued to do for me. And Mullet being my main clown alter ego, I've learned a lot about being emotionally available through performing as Mullet. So, does that make him smarter than me? Because it's still coming out of me, but it's certainly something that I wouldn't have been able to achieve if it hadn't gone through Mullet.
Well, I think there's an argument to be made that he might be smarter than you in certain ways, and especially when it comes to emotional intelligence, because I kind of have a similar experience in that. I think we were talking about this earlier before the mics came on, but I feel like once I rediscovered the musical side of me, I kind of named that Jenk as opposed to Jake, because it was doing the things much less consciously, much more emotionally, much more tied with the body and the things that I'm not aware of textually or intellectually. So I gave that a name. And as a result, it's been allowed to flourish a little bit more and, came out to play more often and took on recaptured the identity that was essentially lost. I've totally lost track where I was going with this already.
No, you haven't. You're more emotionally intelligent.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that, and the way I got to that was actually part of the practice was with psychedelic drugs. Actually,
okay.
that I was able to rediscover, or at least it was easier for me to rediscover them and to learn more about these other cycles that I call running within me. And many of them were the ones that I wasn't paying attention to, tended to be the emotional ones, the non-rational, the hypervigilant ones, the ones that are more reacting, the ones that are more feeling. And quite often, and the funny thing I realized was that all of the successes that I had in the world, I mean, my reputation was about being a hyper-rational guy.
Okay.
Right. I'm kind of like a Spock type guy, like hyper-rational, can
that's surprising,
figure out details.
But okay.
Yeah. But then I realized that what made me successful in almost everything I did was the other part of me. It was the part that actually just intuited, felt stuff, was comfortable just carrying on a conversation and like knowing where to go with an investment just by feel more than it was those other parts of me that no one was really noticing or valuing that was actually contributing to a great deal of making me who I am. So it's like I have to pay more attention to this. And in many ways, that side of me, even though it couldn't express it in words, was smarter than me, or the me that was presenting itself to the world all the time. So yeah, that part that I didn't have access to that came out in greater strength is smarter than me, emotionally for sure. And it sounds like Mullet might be, as you say, emotionally more.
Okay,
like
well, let's not
EQ.
tell him that, because he's got a big enough ego as it is.
Because I'm guessing he reacts and feels, and as opposed to obviously overthinking something.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun to give Mullet overthinking challenges. I have a future project in mind we were talking about OCD tendencies earlier, so I always like to write from a place of truth. And that's something I haven't written about. So I have a play in mind for Mullet where I can give him some serious neuroses.
Whoa.
Yeah, maybe that's why we don't get along so well, because I'm the Sam Raimi to his Bruce Campbell, and
You're tormenting
I hit him with a tormenting stick all the time.
You're the God figure that just keeps giving him all these things that he didn't ask for.
Yeah. Poor son of a bitch.
That's what God does.
Oh, maybe.
Is there any God in your life? Is there
No.
any kind of God thing going on? No religion in your background?
No, nothing.
Yeah, I grew up pretty much atheist most of my life. But it's funny that in these recent years when I've been doing psychedelics and talking about all this hippy-dippy stuff, it often sounds like I'm using the vocabulary of religion sometimes,
I picked up on some of that listening to episodes in preparation for this. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I was wondering about that.
It's kind of odd. So that, but in a way it's not, in that all of us, whether you're a philosopher, scientist, theologian, or preacher, you're really pretty much trying to figure shit out, right? Like, what's going on and how should I live? I mean, we're all doing that. We're just kind of approaching it in different ways. And I like to think that the philosopher is someone who can take into account the various ways at this and the various frameworks, be it religion or theology or science or art, and realize that we're all kind of swirling around the same ideas, that we're trying to figure shit out, right? So I guess not that surprising.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, the improv class I took, it felt like it was the first stage of 6 at Second City. I don't know if you've done them. I felt like we were just getting going. The first one seems to be more about getting over your shyness, and just learning to let go and that sort of thing. But I found myself often, in the middle of an exercise, thinking, like, instead of just restricting it to this, let this breathe and let it go, and just like give me a character. Instead of saying, well, you're at a bus stop and you got this. It's fun, but I felt like there was a lot more fun that could be had if you just inhabit a character and just let it roll.
Why aren't you inhabiting a character? Because if they give you a bus stop, that's the where, but you still has to be a who.
That's right. Yeah, I guess I was learning that.
But that you said that was level 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I guess I'm selfish.
That might not.
I wish it was like a group of 4 instead of a group of 20. You know what I mean?
I guess so.
Yeah. And you just have more opportunity to carry it out.
Well, if improv training is done well, which it is there, and other places across, I teach there now. So, but there's lots of great improv training to be had across the city.
Oh, yeah.
Social Capital and Bad Dog, the Assembly.
Do you do improv training or you do clown training?
Both.
Both. Okay.
But so those introductory levels, whether it's clown or improv or anything, and one of the things I really appreciated about my Second City training when I was first starting out is that level 1 of how slowly we did go into it.
Yeah, that's probably the best way
walking in
to do
through
it.
the shallow end.
Yeah,
because it gives you a really strong foundation to start layering on more of the complicated stuff.
Makes
later.
a lot of sense. I'm just expressing my impatience and laziness, really. I want to get right to the...
Right to doing scenes?
Yeah, let's do scenes.
All right, it's a bus stop. It's winter. It's Winnipeg.
Yeah, we just
big budget. We got a sign here.
Bus sign, not just a sticker. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, there's improv now, so there's no props, which is a big way that clown is different from improv and mime. No mime in clowning. So, in improv, you have to mime everything, right? Because you're making it up as you go. With the bus stop, this is great. We have a through line here. I don't know. No, we have consistency.
So everyone look at our bus stop. Yeah.
Yeah, look at our bus stop in theater of the mind. But in improv, there would be no bus stop. Obviously, you would improvise and mime that there's a bus stop there somehow. I don't know. But in clown, you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to have some sort of physical prop, cardboard, like you said. Funnily, no, that wasn't a bus stop. That was a stop sign. I was just thinking one of the clown turns I did in the clown farm a couple summers ago but it wasn't a bus stop. But the point being, in clowning, you can't mime stuff. Now, when I say can't, that sounds like can't, never. Right. That's an absolute. There's always a little bit of flexibility there, but in my background, you don't mime stuff. The reason for that, it's not arbitrary, is you work with physical things, physical props. It can be minimal set. It can be abstract too. It can be weird and made out of cardboard or whatever found objects you're using. It's usually, cheap because we're clowns. But it has to be something tangible and physical. Yeah. Because that allows for mistakes to happen.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, something can go wrong. The prop
and that's
can malfunction or it can break.
Is that welcome? Kind of? Okay.
Yeah. Those we call them gifts from the gods. So because there's going back to no fourth wall theater. Yeah. So if the audience sees something go wrong, you can't pretend it didn't happen. So I suppose in a Shakespeare play, not to belittle Shakespeare, but if something goes wrong, you would get past it quickly without drawing attention to it. Whereas a clown show, you have the freedom and you have to go off script in that moment to acknowledge that something's gone wrong. You saw it, I saw it, and that becomes part of the show, is dealing with the unexpected.
And it's a great metaphor for reacting to your life and events. It's like take it in, acknowledge it, deal with it. Seems to be a healthier approach than pushing it aside and going on as if nothing happened, which is what we do.
It's a huge part, and it's a huge obstacle in the training is getting over the idea of hiding the flops or hiding the mistakes, or just hiding the thought processes. Even like if you're feeling nervous and trying to cover that up with something, oh no, show me the nervousness. You don't need, and don't show me with overacting, mechanical acting gestures. Just be nervous. I will see that you're nervous, and that's the show. So if you're
that's
working
hard
with
to do for a lot of people.
well, that's why training comes in. But so if you're working with a physical prop, it can go wrong. But if you're miming, then there's nothing that can go wrong. So you have too much control. You take away the possibility from there being gifts from the gods.
Good point.
So there's no gods, and that's why mimes are godless heathens, which is a quote from John Turner, a.k.a. Smoot, no relation to me.
Oh no! Yeah, I just realized that the name's the same. Yeah. Cool. So you're a Canadian boy. You've lived most of your life in Canada, right?
All my life, yeah.
Did you venture off to other places for any extended periods?
I've lived across Canada a little bit. I've lived in rural Alberta.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's another country.
Yeah, it was fantastic though, because I'm fascinated by paleontology, natural sciences, and dinosaurs.
Were you a dinosaur nerd as a kid? Is that what it's all about?
Continue to be now.
That's great.
And so I had the opportunity to work at the Royal Ontario Museum of Paleontology in the education department for a summer. So I did.
Oh, wow.
It was phenomenal. And I've lived in Winnipeg and here in Ontario. Abroad for extended periods? No, although this fall in a couple month and a half or so, I head off to Europe for 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to study with Philippe Gaulier for 4 weeks. He's a famous clown teacher.
Cool.
So I'll go study under that.
Is this in France you're going to?
Just outside of Paris, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm very excited for that. I've heard a lot of stories. He was in Toronto some years ago when I audited, or they had the last class open for people to come watch. So I know a little bit of what I'm getting into. I don't have any expectations to do well. It looks like it's very difficult not to get shit on, but I'm just going for the experience of being shit on live in person.
Well, it must be kind of tough in your world to have venues for which to express yourself. I mean, there's not like people aren't beating down your door to have clown shows. I mean,
stand-up is the most accessible because nowadays it's an industry that leads to sitcoms, and so you'll get. I really don't, I'm making generalizations, but here in Toronto, it's difficult to get audiences.
It must be.
Part of that is culture. Part of that is people are house poor and just don't have a lot of budget to go out because they're paying for the rooms that they have to live in.
So do you do stand-up?
I have.
Yeah.
But you also have, then you go to sketch, which is still fairly accessible. Improv, your audiences start to be other improvisers. And by the time you get to clown, that is so far outside of the norm. Now I'm lucky to have a fan base and friends that are coming to my shows that are not other performers. And I book variety shows, and one of the comments I get from performers that come to the show every time is they're really wowed by how diverse the crowd is, and that they're not seeing comedians in the audience. So I'm proud of that and appreciative of that.
That must be a
clown
rare
is
thing. It's great.
I don't know if it's rare, but it's
because if it wasn't for open
uncommon,
mics, stand-up comics really wouldn't have anywhere to do their craft. I
don't know. There's lots of there's lots of rooms. I don't know if it's all open mics. There is now, certainly.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of opportunities for shows. For clown shows, it's the biggest challenge is getting people to come to a show that has the word clown or a picture of a clown on any kind of advertisement for it, because especially in North America right now with the whole idea of scary clowns, which, and I've talked about this before because it blew up in the media not too long ago. But sure, there's a legitimate phobia of clowns. An irrational phobia, just like all of them are, but that's
what do you
valid.
think's going on there?
A phobia of clowns?
Yeah.
Well, why are people afraid of heights or spiders or anything? That's hard to define, but there's certainly there's certainly lots of examples of people that are dressing up like clowns that don't have any kind of training, and that can be very scary because they're hiding behind a mask, whether it's painted on or a mask, or any. As soon as there's some nose put on the face, that becomes a mask, and who knows what they will do. And if there's not, and I don't mean the kind of training that I had, just any training. So if you just get someone getting too close to you and in your face and being unpredictable, that can be scary. And
well, I was gonna say it's probably very innocent in the sense that when you're a small child and someone like that comes to you, like you said, in your face or something, it could be terrifying because you're just not used to that kind of interaction. Like what? And then all of a sudden, being a child, you're blowing everything out of proportion, and you're thinking you were just attacked by a monster, maybe.
Right, and it's kind
so
of
that
that
sticks
uncanny
in your body.
Yeah, that uncanny valley phenomenon. Are they human? They look human, but not quite human.
And as a result, creepier.
Right. The flip side of that can be very positive in that they and contribute to the universality of a clown in makeup, or at least in a nose. Although the nose thing is not the oldest tradition.
So we got these red clown
noses.
noses.
Yeah, the red noses on our microphones.
Yeah.
And the nose has fallen out of favor, especially in Europe.
Oh yeah.
Well, just probably because of the backlash towards clowns.
Right.
But that kind of face we were saying it can be creepy, but it can be universal because you just, the less specific a face looks, the more relatable it is as just a human face that you can identify with as being yourself. So that's a cartooning philosophy. Scott McCloud talks about it in a really excellent book called Understanding Comics.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is more about cartooning, but there's a lot of overlap between cartooning and clowning. So you simplify a human face, it makes it universal. So Charlie Brown is a very universal face versus something that's much more detailed. Yeah. So I think some of that's happening. But the other thing that's happening with the scary clown stuff, not to dwell on it, but it's become a fad. So whether there's a legitimate fear behind it or not, it's just the assumption now is that, clown's creepy.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of fashionable, maybe even.
It's exactly. But the reality is, it does make it difficult to market.
Sure.
Toronto Festival of Clowns is up against that challenge. The Edmonton Clown Festival changed their name to the Play the Fool Festival just to get clown out of the name. Yeah. It doesn't change the art that'll be offered in the festival. I don't fault them for that.
Yeah, it's just drawing people in.
And a lot of clown performers don't use the word clown in advertising. Because the reality is once an audience gets in and is watching this performance in front of them, everything is subjective. Not everyone's going to love everything they see, but just because it's clown doesn't mean you're not going to love it. For example, Puddle's Pity Party is this 7-foot tall clown, full makeup and costume, a YouTube sensation, beautiful voice. And covers popular songs, but in a crooning way. Wow. So extremely successful on YouTube, full-on clown. Came to Toronto. I saw the show, it was a sold-out show.
Wow.
And here was another example of not an audience that I recognized. And I do clown in Toronto, and this wasn't even a clown audience because...
Were they younger?
No.
Oh.
No, okay. They were not. But kind of... it was because it was a YouTube audience, but it was all walks of life. It was all kinds of people that I don't see at improv, sketch, or stand-up shows. Just people came out to see this show, and halfway through the show, there, a woman shouting, "I love you, Puddles," and it was sincere. Great. I get that as Mullet too. Yeah. So if someone's open to that style of perform, I'm saying if they already. If that tickles your funny bone, because sense of humor is pretty subjective. Once you're in the room with the clown, just because it's clown doesn't mean you're going to be, I hate this, and it's inflexible. But it's very challenging to get people in the room.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, what about calling it performance art? Does that make it any easier or more difficult?
Well, that makes me think I'm going to see someone shoot someone in the arm.
Right. Yeah, they have their own issues with reputation, I guess.
Yeah.
Performance artists. Yeah.
Yeah, not to disparage it, but I don't think that would solve the marketing problem.
No, it's not going to solve it. I guess not.
Yeah. I haven't wrapped my head around it myself. I do all right, but Mullet's face goes on the posters, and also Mullet's a zombie clown, right? So I have a fairly scary look. People look at Mullet, and it's always scary. And Mullet does look scary, but then when he opens his mouth, it's always a sweetheart.
He's
an
sweet,
innocent,
joyful kind of,
and that's on purpose. I know, I'm playing with the horror comedy thing on purpose. But
does he like brains?
No.
So what does he eat? Does he talk about that?
Oh yeah, melons. Okay. He's a vegan.
Okay, it's so nice.
The reason for that is very simple. When I was creating, even before Clown, is experimenting with the idea of the stupidest character I could create. I started playing with this in improv scenes without telling my scene partners. I started having a running character, not to derail a scene or anything, but I would just make choices. I was trying to play this dumb character, and always felt that I failed because I had to get too smart in order to be a good scene partner and propel the action and the story. So in creating Mullet, I was still interested in creating the dumbest character, and there's nothing dumber than a brain dead zombie, but I wasn't interested in I just burped on mic.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, well.
We can edit if you like.
No, you don't have to. No, you don't have to, because this is real.
It's real, man.
So I wasn't interested in the gore.
No. We're not going to go there. Okay.
I wasn't interested in the gore, so I just made him a vegan. So
I like that.
Because I was interested in zombie for other reasons. Now, since then, there's a big backstory that I've never fully told start to finish in any media. I've told some. I've hinted at it in plays and in comics based on Mullet. And at some point, I'll figure out how to do it. That's not a movie that requires a big budget.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a big origin story within Mullet's world. Talk about creating a world and inviting your audience into it. You hopefully create a world, invite your audience in, and then when they leave a little bit changed. That's asking a lot, but at least they leave with having had an experience. So do
you think Mullet could be in movies?
Oh, yeah. It's my...
Where he might...
That's what I did first with Mullet. So I was performing opposite Ed Miller, who was Miller and Mullet originally, a Joey and Auguste duo for 7 years. And one of our first projects was a feature-length movie. This is before YouTube.
No kidding.
And other people, I was the maniac that said, everyone's making shorts. We'll make a feature. That'll set us apart. And then we can send it off to film festivals. Never mind Evil Dead low budget. We had no budget.
No budget.
And it took us 3 years. We did finish it. It is pretty unwatchable.
Wow.
I'm still proud of it because I learned a lot about editing.
Well, you got it done.
We made every mistake you can imagine. We didn't shoot enough footage, so we didn't have anything to cut to. So shots go on too long, and the whole pacing of the thing is just leaden. But I'm still, the writing, it is what it is. At that time, it was the best that he and I could create, and I'm proud of it. Performances were great. Used a lot of friends. Colin Mochry's in it.
Really?
Yeah. And all kinds of other friends from theater sports and that have since gone on to Second City and television. It was a great experience. And talk about the evolution of Mullet and playing Mullet through the many months to create this thing helped create it.
I see a franchise. It's like, Mullet goes to camp. Mullet goes to...
Just like Ernest. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, if I could only be
You're the
just like
alternate Ernest. Yeah.
Great. Set the high Ernest movies. Bar for me too. You know what? I'm being an asshole because I fucking love Ernest Goes to Camp.
That's performance, right?
I watched that as a kid and loved it.
I don't think I even, to be honest.
That's a clown too. Sure.
Yeah. Because I bet you, I think I've been snobby and I don't think I've even watched it, to be honest. So, but yeah, I should probably give it a chance. Because it's a character he's created.
For sure.
Yeah.
Mullet on film. Film is my first love. Theater is cheaper and easier to pull off, and I'm not trying to undermine the experience and the magic space that we create between performer and audience that I've been talking about this entire podcast. But for sure, if I go to the grave not having made more film or video or whatever with Mullet, then I will be unsatisfied. So that is foremost on my brain. YouTube is probably the way to go, and I'm in pre-production right now.
How about a Netflix series, like 22 minutes each episode?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we go to the moon while we're
sitcom.
at it?
It's a sitcom.
How about Mars? Let's just go to Mars.
This is all within reach.
Right now, we can go to Mars. You got 2 speakers over there. That we'll use that to power something.
Propel. Take a while. Yeah.
Yes, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
so that's a trajectory that you can envision. Yeah,
for sure. And like I said, I'm in pre-production right now to turn Mullet into a YouTuber and start creating regular YouTube videos.
It's a good call.
So it won't be no budget, but it'll still be low budget. Mm-hmm. But I have friends in a production company. They're already this is already
great
happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going away to Europe for a couple months, so it will be slow to start. And then I'm intimidated by how much work's going to be involved too. Because the difference between YouTube and TV is it's not just creating the content, but it's also marketing it, and it's also the conversation of that's it. It's a conversation. Someone comments, you comment back, you engage. And I am pretty introverted, and I'm a little nervous about
Are you getting
that.
Good comments when you do get comments? Is it do you
it hasn't, none of this has started yet.
Right,
so
in particular,
to be determined. I'm sure a lot of it'll be that's hard to jerk off to. It's typical.
Which is
YouTube
strange
stuff.
you say that, because we started putting we tried putting some of these episodes on YouTube. I think we put a few of them up, and the first comment we got was, "Is it wrong that I'm jerking off to this?"
No, it's not wrong at all.
So,
just keep going.
What the hell is that all about?
Don't stop. I'll give you a countdown from 10.
I was like, I'm glad I could be of help. But
9. It's gonna be the slowest countdown ever.
Can't deny.
8.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like that. What's that? SMR. SMR.
I don't know what that
is. You know
what
SMR is? I'm gonna butcher it. There's something in some people that they react to certain voices and frequencies.
Okay.
In such a way that, and I think different people react to it. Like some people will be listening to certain YouTube videos or recordings simply for the soothing effect of somebody's particular style of voice, or some people get sexually aroused by a certain frequency or pitch of voice and some rumble, and people that are listening.
Know about that.
Some people just do it because that's what they need to fall asleep. They need to get that right, that lulling,
get comfortable
FM radio voice, something like that.
Yeah. Just sit back and hear stories about clown.
Yeah.
You're under the lights of the big top.
Wow.
There's a sawdust all over the floor.
And a giant elephant.
It's
shitting all over that. So
shitting everywhere. So much shit.
We need some people with brooms.
That's the clowns.
Yeah. There you go. Here comes the clowns. Send in the clowns.
6.
6 of them?
No.
Oh,
that's
we're
the
counting
countdown.
Down. Well, I'm already there. No.
I'm glad there's a table.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. We could start winding it down. Is there something you've been wanting to get off your chest during this conversation before we wrap up?
I feel like it's been all over the place.
Yeah.
So you certainly didn't get a linear history of what led me to Mullet, or even a clear definition of what that is, but I don't know if that matters.
Well,
there's some
we're going to learn this
thrown in.
Yeah. Or maybe you revealed more than you realized.
Probably.
Yeah, because that's what we tend to do, right? Especially when you're talking about the origins of something.
You manipulated me to tell more than I intended to?
I'm doing the same. I have no idea what's going on. Somehow it seems to work. You talk and stuff comes out.
Well, I try to be emotionally available.
Yeah.
And just talk about stuff.
I was going to ask you. So you're traveling to France for a couple of months. Are you a single guy?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
So have you been in relationships where Mullet gets in? mullet kind of gets into the mix somehow, or is that is somebody buying into like two of you when they?
Oh, geez, you want to wind down and you're going to start to bring this one up?
We could have another chapter. Yeah.
Wow. For years, what was it? At the time, I think it was 12 years I've been doing mullet. And a woman asked about Mullet's romantic life or love life.
Yeah.
And I said, he doesn't have one at all. He's a virgin. And I'd never even thought about it past that. It just never occurred to me to explore that side of Mullet. And she said, well, that says more about you than it says about Mullet.
What do you think it says?
Since then, we did a play in the 2016 Toronto Fringe Festival that was co-written by my friend Ron Fromstein, called Mullet's Ghost Story, directed by Bruce Hunter. And between the three of us, we did explore that for the first time. So I had some notion of a girlfriend that he would have had back in his alive days.
Oh, right, because he's got a pre-death history as well.
Yeah, he died in 1747.
Shit.
But he was performing as a clown before that for a couple years at least. And so I only had a name and just a very rough concept, and we explored that a lot. And she was brought to unlife by Hilary June Hart in this play, and so we, for the first time, looked at Mullet's romantic side, and it kind of explains why I say he's an innocent, but he's not a child, but he's pretty heartbroken from not an unrequited, but an unfulfilled love, because he went off and died.
Yeah.
So that explains why there's been nothing for a long, long time.
Can't be easy, right? We're all, but you've got a literal monster that comes out of you once in a while.
Okay. 4.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
but as for, there's certain clown performers or clown personas. I don't even know how to. Clowns tend to attract fans, some more so than others. And
what kind of fans? Do you have some surprising fans? Do you have some like fetishist fans that are into like zombie stuff?
Yeah, it's not something I would have ever predicted. Creating a grungy old moss-covered clown 17 plus years ago
it could
now.
Work for you.
that would be a turn on for people.
But you wouldn't enjoy it. Mullet would, so you'd miss out.
No, Mullet would not enjoy it.
He wouldn't enjoy it because he's not into that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah.
You want to get together and talk about dinosaurs, then all three of us will be there.
Okay. See.
But it's been interesting as, I don't know, this is weird to talk about, but as becoming it's weird to talk about because I think it sounds egotistical, but there has been, it started a few years ago, becoming aware of being a public personality. I'll share a quick story. I don't know.
Sure.
So I'm out at the bar after a show with friends, and the conversation turns to me, talking about me in the third person with me sitting there. And it was surreal. Talking about it right now feels surreal. Not surreal, just like, hey, I'm talking about myself.
I got you.
We've been talking for an hour and a half, but all of a sudden now I'm thinking, this is too much on me.
Spotlight.
So it was a surreal experience, and I remember in that moment thinking, this is weird, and cluing in, at least rightly or wrongly, I thought or felt at that moment, I'm not out with friends all of a sudden, I'm out with fans. And I remember that being as a turning point where I became aware of being a public persona, which I don't think is totally off the mark, and it's not unique to me, certainly. No. Right? I'm not trying to imply that. Whether I think anyone performing on stage,
yeah.
but I've been performing on stage long enough now in front of enough people that there's a public persona here. So it tends to make me a bit guarded.
Have you been able to bridge that gap, or do you find that you're significantly different in your persona as the public figure?
Significantly different.
Really? Yeah.
Like I said earlier,
do you try to bring them together, or are you okay with them being separate? Because I guess for me, the part of the project is that I guess I've been leveling those fields more and more as I go along in my life. It's that I'm becoming more and more consistent regardless of which situation I'm in, whereas it used to be much more of a variance between, how I would be with a certain group of people. Like, I was in business. I had a bunch of companies and stuff. So I was certainly a certain kind of person when I, gave a presentation on something or another, or talking to investors or what have you. But over the years, I realize I don't like that. I'd rather have a leveling.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I'm pretty close to it now. Like whether I'm with my parents or business or whatever, I feel like I'm the same kind of goofy guy these days. So.
I'm probably closer to it than I give myself credit for. Mm-hmm. I try to be honest.
Yeah, that's the key.
But
right?
I'm also, and I don't like to be censored. But yeah, I think I can be pretty guarded. Mm-hmm. At the same time, coming today to an interview, and I was a little apprehensive about it because I'm thinking, we're going to talk for an hour or so, and I don't want to sit here and not have a real conversation. But at the same time, I can get phobic's too harsh a word, but I'll say phobic about committing what's in my brain to any kind of permanence.
Sure, I get that. Yeah.
Burped on mic again. Permanently.
It's Rick and Morty.
So, whether I'm writing stuff down or recording or whatever, so that can make me a bit apprehensive.
Well, that makes total sense because it actually makes total sense within a person that has a living character that has sprouted from them. It makes total sense that you would need to sprout someone like that if you are, as you just described yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You see.
But at the same time, coming to this interview, I wanted to just go into it and say, well, I don't want to shut down and become Professor Clown and because there's other interviews out there with me, robot man. So I was like, okay, I just want to be able to breathe. So I'm trying to listen to my own advice that I tell my students is just breathe, and what happens.
Yeah.
Big open mouth breathing. Loosen the jaw.
Breathing is really discovering breathing is kind of a magical thing. It seems to be, again, no surprise. Smart me, I just figured this out. But thousands of years, all these Eastern practitioners and everything, it seems like they figured out this technology that you just pull in a few breaths here and there. It kind of slows all of your other systems down and kind of regulates it. All parts of you, whether physical or mental, start to be affected by this regularity of breathing.
For sure.
It's an amazing technology.
Now I have an idea for you.
Yeah.
That I was going to lay on you.
Cool.
Do you want to talk to Mullet as well?
I'd love to, yeah. I wasn't sure if I could ask such a thing. But yeah, how would this work? Yeah.
I'll just go get him from the other room.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in.
So I'll say goodbye then.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Okay.
We'll see you after Mullet leaves.
Oh, you want me to come back? Okay.
Well, yeah. I could just storm out of here. I don't know. Okay.
Hi. Are we on? Are we doing this thing now? Are we talking? Hello. This looks like a clown nose on your microphone. Like I'm talking to a mirror. Oh, it's like I'm talking to myself. Hello, how are you? I'm good.
How you doing, Mullet?
Oh, hi. You're here too. Welcome to this place. I'm good. How are you? Who are you? What's your name?
My name is Jake.
Hello.
Sometimes I'm Jank.
Jank.
Yeah. That's kind of harder to say, though.
No, I can say it. Just look at this. Perfect. Jank.
Jank. You got it, man.
Jank.
Yeah.
That's easy to say. Same number of syllables. Jake, Jank. Why is one harder than the other?
That's cool. Did you ever go to school, Mullet? Did you learn to read and write and?
Yeah, I can do everything. Yeah. Why are you assuming I don't know how to read or write? That's a terrible thing to do. I can read or write good.
Yeah.
I'm good at stuff.
Yeah. Like
This is a neat place. Look at all the things around here.
Mhm.
You got color on the walls and lots. Oh, look,
Which
you
one
went
do
to
you like?
school. You
Yeah.
got school stuff up there.
I got letters behind my name. You know, my mother framed those for me.
Oh.
And I felt obligated to put them on the wall because otherwise I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Mother. Do you have any siblings, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have a sister.
Yeah.
Miette is my little sister. But family is hard because, well, sometimes they don't come back.
Where did they go?
Dead. Wow, you were just gonna jump right into the deep end. That's what I did. I drowned.
Did you? Is that how it happened?
Yeah.
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 Do you remember much about it?
Well, it was 100 years underwater. It was
shit.
pretty sloshy in the brain by the time I came out. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Pretty good for a guy that didn't go to school.
Yeah.
Maybe I did. I don't have a paper on the wall, though.
No. How are your memories? Are you remembering those the life back then, a long time ago?
More now than before.
Yeah. Was it therapy? What brought it out?
Time.
Time.
Yeah. And sometimes smells bring things back. Did you know that you can smell something and then it's like you were there again? Like I have a piece of rubber that I keep because when you smell the piece of rubber, it smells like an inner tube, and inner tubing is a fun way to swim. But I don't like swimming because I did enough of that. So I keep that
like
piece of
100
rubber
years.
as a reminder to stay out of the inner tube. Even though maybe it looks like it could be fun, but I don't like boats.
You know, I got a fear of water myself.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have that in common.
Yeah. I think I was about 4 years old when somebody took me off a giant pier and just threw me off. And like 30, 40 feet and went into the water and just kept sinking.
Wow, how did you come out?
I don't know. Then that's the same person who threw me and jumped in after me at some point. And
That's
took me
very
in.
scary.
Yeah, so it was scary.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So I
scary.
can't imagine being 100 years.
Well,
under the
just
water.
the same thing you went through, but more.
Yeah.
But you could still inner tube. I like the smell of it because you
That's
could just
true.
put it on the sand. You don't have to go in the water. You just
That's true,
pretend.
right? Mm-hmm. Do you get to the beach much?
Well, I washed up on one.
Yeah.
No, I don't go to the beach too
What do
much.
you do for fun?
For fun?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Do you have
Everything's fun.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
I like to eat melons. I like to eat cantaloupe is the best. Also, I perform. On stages. I'm kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
Performing. I have my own Mullet's Night Show, which we've been doing for 6 years now. It's like a talk. It is. It's not like. It is a talk show. I am the host. There's
Cool.
a desk. It's made out of cardboard. And I have a co-host, Robin Archer. And
cool.
I book different guest acts every time. It's funny. That's going to come back in September.
Is it like Letterman?
Yeah, but it's still going.
Yeah.
And what else is fun? I like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I like to read.
What do you read?
I like to read about dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because imagine this. You're alive. And then you're not. And then you come back, and all of a sudden there's dinosaurs. There were no dinosaurs when
You
I was
didn't know
around
about
before.
dinosaurs back
well,
then.
they weren't around because they were extinct.
Yeah.
But I mean, nobody even knew about them.
That's true, right?
And then I come back, and not only people know about them, there's a whole science devoted to studying about them.
Whoa.
So that is it's like if you were Rip Van Winkle and you
Yeah.
fell asleep, and then when you wake up, oh yeah, there's aliens.
Other
There's
cool
aliens.
shit.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
aliens. We have bus tours and go back and forth. Then wouldn't you want to spend all your time learning about that? Because that's pretty neat. I like to do that. I also like being around people. I like to go to parties. And I like to walk. I like to do all. I just like to be alive.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're alive?
Well,
Because you're living.
yeah,
You have a lifeful life.
yeah. Well, I do better than some people.
I think so.
I get a little stiff sometimes.
What helps with that?
Regular exercise.
Yeah, dancing.
Yeah,
I'm
dancing's
fine.
fun. I'm a
Yeah.
good dancer. I have my own patented dance moves.
Oh, yeah?
Stomp, stomp, stomp. Right leg. No, left leg first, then right leg.
Do you ever dance where you just kind of let yourself go? And like, instead of trying to figure out what steps to step, you just kind of go, I'm just going to move with whatever the music's doing. Do you ever do that?
That's what I do. Cool. Yeah, just move and groove.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fun.
Mm-hmm. But then that kind of, but what is that? You kind of lose control when you do that. Like something else kind of takes over. And
I don't like to lose
dancing.
control and let other things take over, because then it's scary.
Do you ever feel like that happens to you? Where
sometimes, but then just because there's a fire in the furnace doesn't mean the whole house has to burn down.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Do you know, Allan was burping earlier, and
that's not good.
No.
But don't worry, you can edit it out in post. Just cut it out.
Mm-hmm. Nah,
And then,
I tend not to do that.
What?
I tend not to do that.
Well, I guess that cuts down on production time.
Pretty much, I'm lazy. That's
I know stuff about stuff.
Yeah, I went to school to learn stuff about stuff, but you don't have to go to school to learn about stuff.
The school of life.
And death.
And unlife.
And unlife again.
I've done all three. I should have pictures on the wall like your mom gave you, but I should have three of them. One for life, one for the other two.
Which is, I guess, death and in between.
And then I could have one that doesn't, it's just a frame with nothing in it yet, and that's for the next.
Conceptual.
Who knows what comes next?
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I feel when I take some
That's the tomorrow frame. Yeah. That's tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow? Who knows? Put it in a frame with nothing in it, and then that's it.
Do you look forward to tomorrow?
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generally optimistic.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because my eyesight is good.
Mm-hmm. Mine isn't.
No.
No, I'm losing my vision.
Oh.
But I can see you now, so that's good enough. Yeah.
Yep. Ta-da.
Well, I think we're running out of time here.
Yeah, let's shut it down.
Allan told me you guys had to go.
Okay.
So very nice to hang with you. Mullet, thanks for coming out.
You should have brought me on sooner, because
you're probably right.
It would have been way more fun.
No, I had a great time talking to both of you.
I was just waiting outside, so
you were just kind of anxious to get in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like you got to get out more.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm out. Well, sometimes it's good. I don't have anywhere inside to go.
Oh, yeah.
How many couches do you have in here?
We got room for plenty.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So I go off mic, but do I have to go?
No, you can hang.
All right.
Hang. Come hang anytime.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
so,
Jake.
Mullet's
Jake,
we're going to do a high five.
Jake.
High five with Mullet. Right on.
That's right. You know how you look at the elbow and then you never miss.
That's what I hear. I keep forgetting that.
Well, we didn't miss, so you must not have forgot. Well, now we missed.
Thanks, man.
Okay, goodbye.
All right, take care.
Bye. Bye. Bye.